So we're at level 0, which is Improvise of the muscle building roadmap, brought to you by SweatSphere Fitness. You already know I'm Josh, so we're just going to jump right into it. So here we are at the first stage in your lifting journey. We're at level 0, which is Improvise. Now we have 6 different levels to the muscle building roadmap, and as we progress through the muscle building roadmap, they're going to get increasingly more elaborate and dialed in with your training. So we're setting up our foundations and going from being an improvised lifter to someone that has a little bit more structure or a little more foundation that we can build upon in future stages. So let's jump into level 0. So at this stage, we're just improvising all of our workouts. Our goal at this stage is just to get fit. Nothing crazy. We just want to get into shape, whether that means build more muscle, lose some body fat, or maybe a mixture of both. Our support system at this stage is we have none. There is no one supporting us. It's just you versus you. There's no personal trainer, there's no gym partner. It's just you trying to get fit. We're going to look at some roadblocks and then how to graduate for our training structure, our fitness focus, our nutrition, our recovery, our tools and tracking, and our mindset. We go over these for each stage, but at stage 0, improvise, some roadblocks for training structure are going to look like following random YouTube workouts with no long-term plan. So you're going to be scrolling on YouTube looking for different kinds of workouts, and this can run into problems because switching daily between HIIT, abs, and stretching isn't really going to give you the kind of results that you want to see, especially when it comes to long-term, long-lasting results. If you're just going in and deciding, okay, today I feel good, I'm going to train some abs, or maybe tomorrow you feel lazy and you're going to go ahead and do nothing. So it really comes down to just not having that consistency as well as not really training with purpose yet. And that's okay. These are some things that are keeping us here at level 0 though. You also might be choosing workouts based on impulse, not intention, right? So you're not really having an intention with your exercise selection or any kinds of exercise you're doing. You don't have any structure or progression to build on, and no tracking of performance, volume, or results. This feels productive, but it leads to little or no real change. So obviously this is not good for us. How can we graduate to the next level? So in order to graduate, we need to create a mini routine you can repeat weekly. So this looks like picking 3 workout types. So choose strength, cardio, and mobility training to cover all your bases. So you're not just training for one thing, you're doing a multitude of training that kind of go together to get you in the best shape of your life. We're going to set a weekly template. This means that we can repeat a simple plan each week to build consistency. It doesn't have to be a crazy workout plan. It doesn't even have to be a structured plan at all. It just has to be some kind of repeatable template that we can use on a week-to-week basis. We're going to use a YouTube playlist. We're going to pre-select a few go-to videos to eliminate decision fatigue. So you're going to have some set workouts already pre-selected so that you can go to whenever you need guidance on how to do said workouts. And we're also going to track 2 key things. So did you do it? How did you feel? That's the feedback loop. When it comes to tracking at this stage, we're not going to get crazy into tracking your macros, tracking your workout plans, tracking even sets and reps. At this stage, we're just going to track, did you do the workout? And how did you feel after doing the workout? Did you feel good? Did you feel tired? Was it too much? Was it not enough? That's all. And we're going to keep that in a little logbook or in your notes app. And you're going to remember that so where you can have something to base off of the intensity level, because we're just building the foundations at this stage. We're not trying to go crazy into dialing our routine. We're just setting up the basics, so there's no need to worry. Our fitness focus at this stage, some common roadblocks with this is that we're just trying to tone up and lose weight. It's very unclear. So losing weight and toning up sounds good, but it lacks specific direction. It might feel productive, but it doesn't provide clear steps to follow. You can think of it like aiming for a target you can't see. Movement without progress, right? So you're moving in a certain direction, which is good, right? Any kind of movement is going to be good because it shows that you're already putting in the steps. That's why you're even on the muscle building roadmap. This is the first stage in your fitness journey. But if you don't see any progress, you're not going to stick to it, which is why we need to then talk about how we can graduate from these roadblocks. This also makes consistency hard because there is no clear payoff or endpoint. And like I mentioned earlier, if there's no payoff or endpoint in sight, you're going to become less motivated, and then eventually your motivation is going to die out and you're going to quit, which is the last thing that we want. So in order for us to graduate with our fitness focus, we need to set a simple, measurable, emotionally powerful goal. This emotionally part is crucial because we're tying in our emotional reason for figuring out why we want to change our life for the better. So we're going to pick one clear focus, choose one main goal, either muscle, fat loss, endurance, or energy, to direct your plan. Then we're going to make it specific and visual. So we're going to turn your goal into a vivid statement that connects with what you want and why it matters. So we're going to take the goal of maybe adding more muscle tissue, and then we're going to bring it and figure out why it matters to you. We're going to think about it for a second. Why do you want more muscle tissue? Why do you want to lose fat? Why is this important to you as a whole? And if we can figure out that, we can make it emotionally valuable to us as a person, which will keep us motivated no matter what. Next, we're going to set a 30-day mini goal. So we're going to start with a short, actionable commitment to build consistency and momentum. This is super important because within the 30 days, you now have an end goal that you're going to try to achieve within the next 30 days. And this is going to help build consistency and momentum as you progress through the gym. We're also going to write it down and say it out loud. So keep your goal visible and repeat it daily to reinforce motivation and clarity. Again, this is going to help with that purpose. So a good example would be, I want to lose 10 pounds of fat so I can feel confident in my clothes again. So make your goal real and not vague. This is crucial if we want to graduate. Next, we're going to talk about nutrition. So some common roadblocks at this stage is we're trying every trend and eating healthy sometimes. So jumping from one diet trend to the next with no long-term plan isn't going to be sustainable for us. Eating healthy and consistently on and off depending on the days is not going to get you to where you want to be for the long term. You also might be cutting carbs, skipping meals, or trying extreme approaches, thinking that this is going to help you lose weight fast. It's actually going to do the opposite. If you don't give your body the fuel it needs, it's not going to be able to build the muscle, which is going to help you boost your metabolism to shred that fat off. Another common roadblock that you might have at this stage is doing weekend binges that are undoing your weekday efforts. And this sucks because when you go through the week with a good nutrition plan and you eat healthy for the most part, and then you go ahead and binge on the weekends, it's going to set you back for the entire week, and it's going to cause you to lose motivation because you put in all this hard work throughout the week just to undo it on the weekend. So this is something that is going to keep us here at level 0. You also might be struggling not from laziness, but from confidence and information overload. There's so much information on how to eat healthy and what the best diet is, but at this stage, it's too much for us. So what we need to focus on is how to graduate, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But it can be hard. We have all these things like low carb, fasting, detoxes, keto diet that are all being thrown in our faces that we need to do if we want to lose weight. But the majority of it just isn't true. So let's talk about how to graduate. So in order to graduate from this stage, we need to ditch the fad diets and build one daily meal habit. So we're going to focus on protein, right? So we're going to pick 2 to 3 protein sources that you enjoy and make them part of your routine. This is crucial that you enjoy them, right? Because if you don't enjoy the foods that you eat, you're not going to stick to it no matter what the macros are. So pick 2 to 3 protein sources. This can be eggs in the morning, it can be steak at dinner. It can be something as simple as eating fish for your lunch. It doesn't really matter. Just pick 2 to 3 good protein sources and make them a part of your routine. We're also going to build a 3-part plate. So create one balanced meal each day using protein, produce, carbs, and fats. This is going to be also very vital because this is going to help set the foundation for how we're going to then track our macros going forward in the future. So what this looks like is building the 3-part plate. We're going to have protein about the palm size of our hand. We're going to measure out fruits and veggies about a fist size of our hand and put that on the plate. We're going to have a cupped hands full of carbs and healthy fats. Now, obviously, this will change sizes depending on the size of your hand, but this is a good rule of thumb to use when trying to construct a well-balanced diet without having to stress with tracking grams of protein and macronutrients and all that confusing stuff at this stage. We're just trying to set the foundations for your success. We're also going to stay hydrated for results. So add 1 glass of water per meal to boost fat loss and reduce cravings. Now, water doesn't have any kind of fat burning abilities, but what it does do once you add in a glass of water with every meal is it's going to keep you more hydrated, which is going to then help you push better in the gym. But it's also going to help you fill up your stomach volume a lot quicker as well, making you eat less food. This is really great, especially if you're trying to lose weight because you want to be in a calorie deficit. It can stunt your hunger hormones because when your stomach stretches, because there's lots of stuff in it, your body is less hungry. So by filling your body up with some food and then some water to then fill it up more, you'll be less hungry and reduce your cravings that way. We're also going to track 1 meal daily. So just log 1 meal to build awareness without overwhelming. Now, this is kind of what I mentioned earlier with the 3-plate plan. This is what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be tracking. So you can track with something like a notes app, you can track on a notebook, or you can go ahead and download the free version of MyFitnessPal. And if you don't know how to use that, you can join our SweatSphere school where we go into more detail and explain how you can use the free version to its fullest. Let's talk about recovery. So at this stage, when we're improvising, we're probably getting poor sleep and no rest days, right? We're relying on caffeine to stay energized and push through workouts, prioritizing training over sleep and real recovery. So we should not be prioritizing training over sleep or recovery, but we do need to prioritize training. You might be only resting when burnout or injury forces it, right? So when you go into the gym and you get injured, or maybe you get injured outside of the gym, that's when you're resting and recovering from the gym. And this is very common in people that want to see results fast. You think, I go into the gym, I do more work, and it's just going to give me more results. This isn't always the case because if you're someone who is an untrained individual, you probably don't have to train as hard or with the same amount of intensity or frequency in order to get the same results as someone who's an intermediate or advanced lifter. This is because you have something called newbie gains. And when you have newbie gains, this allows you to put on muscle tissue a lot quicker than someone who has been training for 2+ years. So more is not always better when it comes to training frequency or intensity as a beginner. We just want to build consistency as a beginner and really improve our technique. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So might be only resting when we're burning out or getting injured. You also view recovery as optional or as a sign of weakness. This is another common mistake a lot of beginners make when they enter the gym because they think, oh, I'm resting, I'm not doing so much. You need to rest and you need to recover and you need to change your mindset that it's not a weakness to recover, but you do need to know that you have to earn the recovery by training with purpose. Unnoticed recovery debt is stalling progress behind the scenes. So you're building up fatigue, and you don't even realize it till eventually you plateau, and then training feels awful, and you just don't want to show up anymore. And that's when you quit. Not ideal for long-term success. So how do we fix these things? In order to graduate from this stage, we need to start with one recovery ritual and respect rest like it's a workout. So we're going to choose a consistent wind down time and treat it as a non-negotiable. This means that when you go to bed or you're winding down for bedtime, you're really treating it like it's something that has to happen on a consistent basis, not something that you can just kind of throw in whenever you feel like it. It needs to be consistent and it needs to happen. Set a simple 15-minute nightly routine so you can do some stretching, breathing, you can write down in your journal, whatever you'd like to do that gets you in the mood for sleeping. We're also going to designate one rest day per week and protect it. No intense training on this day. So this means that you can just do nothing on that rest day, or you can do some active recovery, which we'll talk about later. You're also going to label it as a recharge day. This is to reframe the rest as part of progress. So instead of feeling like, oh, I'm at home, I'm a lazy bum, I'm not doing anything to get closer to my goals, you need to reframe your mind and think of it as a recharge day so you can actually grow more muscle. Again, more muscle is going to help you lose more fat in the long term because the higher your metabolism is, the more calories you can consume. And the more calories you can consume, the more likely you are to be in a calorie deficit. So we're also going to follow the 3-2-1 sleep rule, which is no caffeine 6 hours before bed, no food 3 hours before bed, and no screens 1 hour before bed. This is going to help us start to, of course, wind down and help your brain produce more melatonin as you get ready for bed. Also, eating a big meal before you go to bed is not the best because when you're digesting as you sleep, you're not going to be getting as deep or as good quality of sleep when you're sleeping. So it's really important that you wait before you go to bed to at least digest some food. Um, at least 2 to 3 hours would be my recommendations. And of course, no screens at least an hour before bed. Now, of course, this is not realistic for the majority of you guys. However, if you do have to be on your screens for work or for business, make sure that you're using blue light blocking glasses so you don't reduce the production of melatonin before you go to bed. We're also going to be tracking your sleep times loosely to build awareness and spot patterns over time. So what that looks like is we're going to be tracking when you go to bed and when you wake up. If you go to bed at 8 o'clock, you're going to track that. And if you wake up at 6 in the morning, you're also going to track that. You're going to take a look at how many hours you slept for, and then you're going to get the average of that throughout the week to see on average per week how many hours you're sleeping each night. And we don't have to change anything here yet. We just want to track it to build awareness and spot patterns. So for our tools and tracking at this stage, we're not tracking, and that's okay. We're trying to be consistent without any real structure. This is not good because we're going to lead to, again, plateaus. So we're not, no food tracking, workout logs, or progress measurements. If we don't know how to track our progress, or if we don't know what we're eating, how do we know that we're even making any progress? We might be relying on memory or guesswork to judge our results at this stage. Progress feels vague and uncertain. And without data, it's hard to know what's working or what to change. So again, scattered habits equals scattered results. So how do we fix this in order to progress? Pick one thing to track and start today. So track one thing so we can pick either workouts, food, weights, or sleep, but just one, right? We don't want to stress you out with doing every kind of tracking. We're just setting up the foundations, and we're going to keep it simple. So use a notebook or a notes app or even a whiteboard. I really wouldn't recommend a whiteboard because when you're writing something down on a whiteboard, if you're doing it for a day, a week, even a month, you're going to run out of space eventually, and you're going to have to wipe it all away. So if you wipe it all down and get rid of it, now you don't have anything to go off of. So I'd really stick to the notes app. Or if you do decide to track your workouts, go grab one of our SweatSphere Fitness logbooks so you can make it simple and easy, where we structure out your exercise selection, your sets and reps, and your hydration intake as well. All of that is inside the SweatSphere Fitness logbook, so go ahead and check that out after this video. We're also going to log right after, so don't wait, write it down immediately. When it comes to working out, if you're tracking your food, you might forget at the end of the day what you made for the day. So make sure that after you've made the meal, or even as you're making the meal, you can add the ingredients in on the free version of MyFitnessPal and then track it that way. Or if you're tracking your workouts, bring the logbook with you in person so you can write it down in between your sets, how many sets and reps you're doing, and you can even time your recovery time at this stage as well. But again, pick one so we're not getting overwhelmed. We're just building awareness. So we're also going to do weekly check-ins at this stage. So reflect for 5 minutes every week and see what kind of progress you've made. So once you've tracked one thing for a week, at the end of the week, you're going to go and reflect for about 5 minutes and just go over and see what worked well, what didn't work well, was it even enough information? And if not, that's okay. Progress equals tracking, and even rough notes are better than guessing. So even if you can't really understand or get too much information from it, that first week was just a practice run. Next week, track better, and the week after that, you'll track better. The more times you do something, the better you're going to get at it, and the less intimidating it's going to feel. So start off as soon as possible when it comes to tracking at least one thing. And our mindset for this stage. At this stage, we're going to be feeling discouraged and lost. You've started and stopped before, and it weighs on you. Doubt creeps in. Will this time really be different? Comparing yourself to others online adds pressure and insecurity, which is not ideal, especially when you're trying to build confidence. Feeling stuck between wanting change and fearing failure. Motivation fades when progress feels out of reach. So this is some common roadblocks that you'll be feeling with your mindset at this stage. But how do we get over these very, very normal feelings of discouragement? What we can do to fix this is start with belief in our actions, not our outcomes. This is so important. So what we're going to do is we're going to start using the win of the day rule. We're going to focus on one small daily win. This can be a workout, a high protein meal, or even hydration. We're going to write down your why. So we're going to spend 5 minutes writing down why you're doing this and keep it where you'll see it. This is very similar going back to the fitness focus. If you figure out your why behind what you're trying to do with your fitness, it's going to have a much longer lasting effect on your motivation. So unfollow any unrealistic content and celebrate your own progress, no matter how small. So if you put only 2.5 pounds on the bench and you got it up for the same amount of reps this week as opposed to last week, celebrate that. That's a PR. It's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I really am. We're also going to use a mantra. So choose a phrase to repeat when motivation fades. It helps shift your mindset in the moment. So when you're feeling tired and unmotivated, maybe before the gym, maybe after the gym, you have to go home and eat. Make sure that you're reminding yourself why you're doing this and come up with something quirky only for yourself to hear so you don't get embarrassed. But there's nothing to be embarrassed about with a little mantra. I say to myself all the time that I have to do this, otherwise I'll be mad at myself. But you can use whatever kind of positive mantra works for you and whatever kind of thing motivates you in the moment to get you to do what needs to happen. Stay disciplined. And the bottom line for this stage is we're going to stop overthinking, start moving, break out of the chaos, and build momentum with simple, repeatable habits. You don't need perfection, you need consistency, clarity, and confidence to take the first step towards long-term progress. And that's going to take care of level 0, improvise. If you find yourself at this stage, now you know how to graduate to level 1, which is going to be identify. And it's also going to be what we're talking about next. So make sure you stick around for the next video of the muscle building roadmap. I will see you at level 1, identify.